She were just nipping out for some cornflakes. A short walk, less than a mile, and she never came back. It's one of those stories that sticks with you, not just because of how young she was or how quiet the town is, but because even after all these years, nobody knows who did it. And the worst part, they might still be out there. This is the story of Lindsay Rimer, a 13-year-old girl from Hebden Bridge, who vanished one rainy night in 1994, and whose body turned up months later in a cold, silent canal. Lindsay Rimer was born in February 1981, right here in Yorkshire. She lived with her mum, dad, two sisters and a brother on Cambridge Street, right in the heart of Hebden Bridge. Now, if you know aught about Hebden Bridge, you'll know it's not the sort of place where this sort of thing happens. It's small, friendly, surrounded by hills, stone bridges, and a tight-knit kind of feel. Everyone knows everyone. It's got a bit of a hippie spirit to it too. A peaceful place. And Lindsay, she was a good kid. Quiet, well-behaved, organised. She was clever too. In year 9 at Calder High School, she was popular and already talking about going to university. She even started a paper round, working at Four Boys to earn a bit of pocket money. She wanted to buy herself some nice clothes, and she was developing an eye for fashion, her mum said. Thing is, life hadn't always been easy for the Rimers. They ran a pub down in Rotherham, but it went bust, and the stress of it split her mum and dad up for a while. Lindsay and her brother Daniel ended up living in a caravan with their dad on a farm outside of town. She weren't too fond of the quiet country life, missed her mates, but eventually the family patched things up and they were all back under the same roof in Hebden Bridge by the time that night came. It was the 7th of November 1994 and Lindsay was home with her dad. Sometime around 10 o'clock at night, she realised there weren't any cornflakes in the house for breakfast in the morning. So she told her dad she was popping to the shop. Now, her dad Colin was on the phone at the time, so they didn't say up to each other. On her way, she popped into the trades club just around the corner. Her mum, Jerry, were there having a drink with her friends. She asked her mum for some money to buy the cereal. Her mum offered her to buy her a Coke and sit down for a bit, but Lindsay said no. She was just off to the Spar shop on Crown Street. CCTV caught her in the shop at 10:22 p.m, buying that box of cornflakes. She looked calm, normal, like any other night. She didn't have a bag, just the cereal in her hands. A few minutes later, two people on a bus reckoned they saw her leaning on a wall near the Memorial Gardens. And then, nothing. She was gone. The next morning, her parents woke up and just assumed she was already on her paper round. But then the newsagents rang. Lindsay didn't show up. Her paper delivery bag was still in the kitchen. So was her school dinner money. They ran upstairs. Her bed hadn't been slept in. And right then, her parents knew something was very wrong. Now, you'd think when a teenager goes missing, police might wait a bit to see if they turn up. But this was different. Even the detectives said there was something about it, like a gut feeling. These weren't some city kids where they vanish all the time and show up later. This was Hebden Bridge, a tiny town. And this was Lindsay, a good kid. The whole town got involved. Police, neighbours, family friends, hundreds of people went out looking. Fields, streets, woodlands, even the canals. Everywhere. 3 of her mum's mates moved into the family home to help. They wrote down every idea, every theory, every person Lindsay might have spoken to. Even her sister Kate played Lindsay in a TV reconstruction. They thought it might jog someone's memory, Maybe someone had seen her that night, but nothing came. No breakthroughs and no answers. As the days wore on, rumours started to spread. Some people began looking at the family, especially Colin, her dad. He'd been on the TV doing interviews, and folks said he looked too calm. But his wife stood by him, said it was just the nerves, said behind closed doors he was breaking down. Police never considered him a serious suspect. But you know what it's like, when there's no answers, folks start filling in the blanks themselves. They did have one lead, however, a red Honda Civic, nicked from Leeds the day before Lindsay vanished. It was spotted hanging around Hebden Bridge. Driver trying to chat up teenage girls, even some of Lindsay's mates. Sounded dodgy, right? Police tracked the bloke down and thought, that's our man. But turns out he had an alibi. He were actually speaking to a copper in a completely different town at the exact time that Lindsay had left the shop. So that were another door slammed shut. Then came April the 12th, 1995, 5 months after she vanished. Council workers were clearing out a stretch of the Rochdale Canal, just a mile out from the town centre. There, under the tree, they found her. It devastated the family. Lindsay's body had been weighed down. A big 20-pound stone, tied to the arms of her own jumper, used like a sling. No sign of SA, but the cause of death was clear: strangulation. She was still wearing the same clothes as in the CCTV footage. And in her pocket, the exact change from the cornflakes she bought. Police reckon she was killed that very night, right after she left the shop. Whoever did it, they acted quick, and they likely knew her. The worst bit, police had searched the canal, but not that stretch, because they thought wrongly. She wouldn't have gone upstream, and that mistake cost them months, giving time for the killer to slip through the net. After Lindsay's body was found, the investigation didn't stop. If anything, it got bigger. Detectives spoke to thousands of people, took hundreds of witness statements, and looked into over 1,000 vehicles. But still, there was no answers. Just whispers, theories, names, and pain. One theory was that Lindsay knew her killer, and that maybe she got into someone's car, someone she had trusted. Police even brought in a psychologist to build a profile. Said the killer might be in his late teens or early 20s, maybe someone Lindsay found attractive or felt safe with. There were several names floated about over the years. John Taylor, John Oswin, Tony King, even Jimmy Savile, believe it or not. Now, there's no official evidence tying him to Lindsay's disappearance, but after his crimes came to light, people started looking back at unsolved crime cases across Yorkshire. Hebden Bridge, where Lindsay vanished, was only around 15 miles away from Savile's flat in Leeds, and not far from his Scarborough property. He was known to travel frequently around the region, often showing up unannounced in small towns for charity events, hospital visits, or public appearances. The eerie similarities: Lindsay being a young teenage girl, the odd way her body was weighed down and left, and the total absence of forensic clues made people wonder if a more organised or sinister presence was at play. After the public learned that Savile had been protected for decades, many lost trust in institutions. People began to ask, if he could get away with it for so long, who else was shielded, and what did the police overlook? Advances in forensic science meant police were able to pull a DNA profile from old evidence. 2 men were arrested, one in 2016 and another in 2017. However, both were released without charge. Once again, just when it felt close, it slipped away. While the case went cold, life for Lindsay's family, unfortunately, didn't move on. Her older sister Katie said it best: if you've had a death in the family, you're allowed to grieve, allowed to move forward, but we're stuck. Stuck in this because we don't know who did it. Hebden Bridge never forgot, and neither have the detectives who worked the case. Even in retirement, they say it still keeps them up at night. So if you know anything, no matter how small, now's the time to speak up. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.